around, you know. Oh, you gotta be strong. You wanna go, you know. I didn't know at first. Shit, you a customer for their kids. Women love all pets. They love, look at it. Everybody right here, everyone, look at it. Yeah, they love it, boy. So you talking about, you go to a woman, they're foul sexual harassment. You put them on these videos, going cracking their heads, stuff like that. Fucking wrong with you? They'll press charges. There he is. That's the motherfucker. But if you walk up to him and say, girl, I sure like to lick your head. Watch what they say. Lean. Oh, you talk about niggas and man, they all right. You crazy, they're not motherfucker. You so silly, boy. If you pick them on their titty, they gonna call them. They're calling. Women love you some more things. I just started 2 years ago, man. Eating cookies is hard work, boy. Man, when they push your head all the way down there, boy, stuck right there, you fucked up. You fucked up. Don't let them lock that elbow. When they lock it, you can't raise up. You can't. And they lock their thighs on you, can't hear shit. And they be busting that coochie against your forehead. You be shining like a glazed donut. You can't eat no pussy, you got asthma. This bitch trying to kill me. I'm telling you. Man, the first time I did, my wife locked that elbow, and she locked her thigh. I had to hit it upside to get loose, man. What is wrong with you? Bitch trying to kill me. See, now I know what I'm doing. See, now I'm good. You get smothered a couple of times. You wake up. You learn how to use some pussy when that motherfucker keeps smothering your ass. See, now I put my arm up in there. She ain't gonna smother the fuck out of me. When I used to put it down, I put my arm up in there. Look how I put my arm up in there, something. I put my arm up in there, and I lock it. They can't go nowhere. They be some hollering, some of my bitches. You ain't going no motherfucker. Boy, they'll bust their head all over the back of their head, boy. Boy, when you eat the pussy like that, they be weak. You know you eat pussy real good, you know how you can tell? Because in the morning, they're going to call you boo. Hey, boo. Good morning, boo. You ate that ass up, boy. You ate that ass up. You got to put your arm up in there. You put your arm up in there, boy, they're going to knock your goddamn head. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. I'm telling y'all the truth. They don't need me tripping. You ever make that's just funny. Have you ever made love to a woman? Everybody cool. Everybody put on ass when you're a couple. But it's damn true. All of us human. That's all we're showing. Everybody human. You do it, you say it, you should do it. Everybody needs pussy. Everybody needs it. It's a goddamn lie. God looking at you, he look at you, he look at you. He look at you when you say shit. Oh, suck it, suck it. Oh, put your finger in my ass, put your finger in my ass. He hear you. You ever, I'm gonna show you how sex so fun. You ever been making love to a woman and she farted? You ain't stopped for shit, did you? You ain't stopped for shit, did you? Be tearing that ass up. You ain't stopped. As soon as you get in the car, you talk about her ass like a dog. See, Bernie, alright. Stinking ass, yes. Fart on my dick and shit. What type of shit is this? Is a mean motherfucker. That'll start, that side is for to start a fight. When they cut that far, you get, Don't do that bullshit no more around me, man. I'm not bullshit. Stinking ass bastard. You a quitter woman, man. I don't care how fine she is. If she break wind on the first 2 days. You got to get to know somebody to take a shit up for a personal life, man. That's years of hard work. Like y'all tight. Y'all been dating on. Can you cut a farm from? See, y'all ain't got a year. You can cut a farm, so you the nasty son of a bitch. You type of motherfucker cut a farm under the cover and then raise it over her head and shit. Black president, he have the press conference, you know, the reporter just jump up. Excuse me. Tell us about Monica Lewinsky. What? Hold on, dog. What you gonna ask me in front of my wife and everything, dog?
Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now Grand Theft Auto 5 released on PC back in 2015 and has been receiving updates ever since. In 2020 it still looks fairly decent with all the visual options turned up, and these days it takes even less to run it at 60 frames per second. Even entry-level cards like the 1650 Super and 5500 XT should make pretty light work of this ever-popular Rockstar masterpiece. Almost exactly 3 years ago, we tested the game as part of a video called Running Games with Their Minimum System Requirements, and found that the developer stated Phenom 9850 and HD 4870, along with 4 gigs of RAM, didn't exactly do a brilliant job of handling GTA 5, though the frame rate wasn't too different from the PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 versions of the game. But what's the situation today? Well, I paired a Core 2 Quad Q 6600 with a 9800 GT and 4 gigs of RAM to see whether or not this Intel and Nvidia combo could hit a 30 frames per second minimum. In the original video I did go for an all AMD approach, though I received a few messages after the publishing of that upload from people telling me that their Intel and Nvidia combination handled the game with very similar results. So can you still expect 30 FPS at 720p with these now ancient parts, or have numerous game updates rendered this old school tech completely obsolete? Well, let's take a look. So you may have noticed the card I used in the B-roll was a 512 megabytes ASUS card. The minimum requirement states a 1 gig card, so believe it or not, I did find a 1 gigabyte 9800 GT under the bed. Before recording this, I didn't think I had one, but I managed to find one. It's amazing what old tech I have lying around. I don't think I've ever tested the 1 gig card before on this channel. Again, I can't remember. But yeah, another thing people often ask me is why do I go for older Intel parts and Nvidia cards as opposed to AMD? And the reason for that is because at least here in the UK, prices for older Intel and Nvidia parts seem to be quite a bit cheaper. For example, the minimum stated Phenom for GTA 5 is twice the price of the Q6600, and it's far more difficult to find. In fact, the only other ones I could find were coming from China or Germany, not to mention the price of motherboards too. So these components in combination, the Q6600, the 9800 GT and 4 gigs of RAM, which in itself is quite iffy in 2020, will achieve about 30 frames per second on average at 720p with GTA 5. Now I found the best way to test this out was to just drive around the map, causing mayhem. Different areas of the map will perform differently. If you're in quieter areas, you may see the frame rate shoot up towards 40 FPS, and in busier areas you may see it drop as low as 20. MSI Afterburner didn't want to work for whatever reason, sometimes it just happens, so all of the recording has been done externally, as it usually is, but with a fraps counter overlay instead of the usual MSI Afterburner one. You can see it's a bit of a disaster. I mean, VSync was off and the settings were at their lowest, 720p with everything on normal, which is the game's lowest settings. And yeah, it's not a totally unplayable experience, I'll admit, as someone who used to play on the PlayStation 3. It doesn't look very good, and the frame rate isn't entirely smooth, but I suppose it is playable if you have these components lying around and you've just got an urge to play GTA 5. GTA Online runs the same as single player, in case any of you are wondering. GTA Online and GTA single player are the same. As we move into the countryside, as you can see, this cinematic shot went horribly wrong. I almost lost total control of the chopper here. So yeah, almost had a bit of a crash on our hands. Maybe this would have impacted the frame rate as well. But yeah, all in all, I mean, it runs okay. Don't expect 60 frames per second, even at 800 by 600, I wouldn't assume. 1080p is a no-go as well. I've seen about 20 frames per second. As for the AMD side of things, well, I can't be too sure, but I'd imagine that the 4870 would also perform quite closely. So I apologise for the shorter video today. Reason being is that I have a PC project in the works. We're actually building a minimum system requirements build for COD Warzone, so expect that video to be out very soon. I'll probably be testing a Dell OEM GTX 670 before then too. I love those old Dell OEM cards, so stay tuned. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, leave a dislike if you didn't, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next one. Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now, I'm sure a lot of you, especially here in the UK, have seen those ultra-fast gaming PC adverts online, and well, a couple of weeks ago I decided I wanted in on this profitable game. So I started my own PC selling business. Now, I was intending to take the more honest approach, and apparently that didn't work too well because, as you'll find out soon enough, my profits weren't exactly fantastic compared to some of the other sellers that I've seen out there. But first of all, let's get into it, and I'll talk about the PCs that I decided to sell. So, these machines, they're pretty basic looking. They do feature a nice bit of RGB on the front. They feature an Athlon 3000G, which, to be honest, I feel is better than some of the Core 2 Quad and GT710 combos you get out there, so I thought this was a nice starting point. We have a pretty basic but capable A320 board from Gigabyte. These are cheap AM4 boards, ideal for anyone looking to put together a well-priced AM4 Athlon or Ryzen system. 8 gigs of 3000 MHz DDR4. This was actually the cheapest dual channel memory I could find in the UK. We've got a pretty decent Be Quiet 500 watt PSU as well, with a couple of extra PCIe connectors just in case anyone wanted to upgrade their graphics card further down the line. An integral 480 gig SSD, and a pretty flimsy yet somewhat decent Cooler Master fan at the back. Sorry, I just had to check that it was actually Cooler Master, then I couldn't quite remember the name. Now, I started off building just one of them. I didn't really need it for pictures because, as everyone knows, if you're selling new PCs online, all you need is a stock photo of the case. That seems to work for a lot of sellers. So that's what I did. This is the photo I used to list my system in various places. As you can see, the RGB looks very nice on the front there. And here is the listing I compiled for this system. I took the honest approach. I wanted to be entirely accurate with my description. So I'll read through that now, and then we'll take a little bit of a look at the performance, and I'll then discuss the sales figures that I received from my PC selling business over the last, I think it must be 3 weeks now. 3 weeks tomorrow, actually. Yes, my profits for 3 weeks in operation aren't fantastic, to put it simply. So I use this everywhere, obviously in places like local selling sites where I had to offer a collection I did have in place correct rules so that people could pick up their PCs without coming too close. You know, they would pay through PayPal and then they could collect the system from my doorstep. That was the intention anyway, had I actually sold any using this method. So my listing started with, are you looking for a top tier gaming experience that only the most speediest, I'm not sure if that made sense, but it stayed in there, of PCs can achieve? Do you want to play games like Red Dead Redemption 2, Battlefield 5 or Call of Duty Warzone with incredible frame rates and spectacular visuals? If you do, then you shouldn't buy this machine. Even though it has some cool stickers on the front, an RGB strip and a price that is about £100 too high, it will suffer when faced with a lot of modern and demanding games. That being said, if you are on a tighter budget, don't mind playing Fortnite, Minecraft or CSGO at reduced settings and resolution, and on top of that are looking for a PC that can be upgraded in the future, then this might just be your next PC. The AMD Athlon 3000G inside this machine is based on the latest AM4 sockets at the time of writing, and the motherboard BIOS has been fully updated to the latest revision, which means that you could swap this humble dual-core processor for something more powerful in the future, preferably a CPU rated at 65 watts or lower. Please see the following list. Now, I then included a link to the motherboard website. Please message me if you would like more advice regarding which processors are best suited to this entry-level A320 motherboard. Obviously, I didn't want anyone buying this and then sticking a 3900X in this board because it probably isn't the best idea with this cheap motherboard. I have seen a few videos on the subject. They sometimes do work, but you know, I don't want to have to deal with people saying they stuck something that's rated at 105 watts in a motherboard that's very, very cheap. The included Be Quiet System Power 9 500 watt power supply also means that you could add a discrete graphics card if you want to, and thanks to the two PCI Express connectors, you won't be limited to just a small number of options. For example, you could add an NVIDIA RTX 2060 to this PC, even if the currently installed Athlon 3000G means you shouldn't. Here is a taste of what you can expect performance-wise from the Athlon 3000G and the onboard Vega 3 graphics. Please also find the detailed specifications at the bottom of this listing. So, before we get into the benchmarks, I did then list the full specifications at the bottom of the listing, just to give people an exact idea of what they were buying. Now, in terms of the pricing, I didn't go overboard here. I actually sold this for £299, and considering it cost me about £250 to build, well, after certain sites' fees, it actually left me with close to nothing. So, yeah, it wasn't the best idea on my end, but this was more about seeing if we could sell anything as opposed to making the most money. But yes, I'm not exactly a top tier businessman, I'll say that right off. What a disaster. So, let's take a look at what the 3000G can do along with the rest of this configuration, and then we'll talk about my immense sales figures at the end. So in terms of the games, I've said it before, the Athlon 3000G is a very nice little chip. For the money that you can find it, it really does exhibit some decent frame rates, especially in those lightweight games. You know, CSGO, Fortnite, Minecraft and Overwatch were the games that we tested today. And all of them, although they did have their problems in terms of occasional frame drops, they all ran with at least 60 frames per second on average at 720p low. Now I'm sure you could tweak the graphical settings a little bit, but I just went straight in at low just to give this chip the best shot at gaming. And I have to say that, as usual, I was quite impressed with it. Now when it came to actually describing performance for the listing, I made a little summary of each game, put it at the bottom of the listing just so that any potential buyers could see exactly what to expect should they want to play games using this machine and without adding a discrete graphics card. So yeah, I didn't really experiment with other settings, I just went in with not necessarily the worst option but the lowest possible option. You know, I just thought it made the most sense to be honest about what potential customers could expect from a machine like this. And as you saw, CSGO, Fortnite, Minecraft and Overwatch, almost forgot the name then, all ran fairly well, and all I said was that each game ran at 720p low settings. I put the average frame rates in the listing and then just wrote a sentence or two about any dips, any performance issues that I personally ran into. So as you can see, the Athlon at 3000G is still a pretty capable chip. The integrated Vega 3 graphics are pretty nice still. I think it's a great entry-level option for about £45 here in the UK, or the equivalent in your respective currency. You really cannot go wrong. It is upgradable, and on the right board, the iGPU can also be overclocked. So, sales figures. Now, I started off building one of these machines using a stock photo of the case, and then if any others sold, I intended to build them after that person had purchased one. For example, if someone had clicked buy, I would then order the part, build the system, and then ship it out the next day. Now, my reasoning behind this was the fact that I wasn't spending £1,000 on PCs only to sell nothing. I didn't want to take that much of a risk for this video, which won't make half of that. So I have the sales figures somewhere here. Impressive. I'm only messing around. It's actually just full of recipes, to be honest. The sales figures I've actually got written on my hand. 3. We sold 3. 3 in 3 weeks. But of course, the numbers mean nothing without the monetary gain. And in terms of a profit, we made, carry the one. Now I'm sorry to pause you on a close-up of my face, but there has been a sales boom since I first recorded this video. We have now sold not just a measly 3 computers, but 4 PCs. You're probably wondering how this reflects our net profit. Well, let's cut back to me in a different colour shirt and find out. Alright, so the reason I sold these for £299 was to try and stay competitive. Although they cost about £254 each to produce, well, if I priced them any higher, I'd essentially be pricing myself out of the market, which is why finding that perfect combination of cheap PCs that you can build for maximum profit can be quite tricky. Used PCs are generally better for this because now, at this point in time, prices of used parts tend to be quite high, so if you can find a source of cheap components, put together PCs and sell them, you may make a little more money. I also don't have the connections that some of these bigger sellers have, where I can go directly to companies. So the actual sales figures, I sold 3 of these on everyone's favourite online shopping site for $299. After the costs, the fees and the postage, each one of these made £7.84. You times that by 3, you've got about £23. Now this was originally where the video ended, but as you know, we sold another system since then, and this was actually on a local Facebook selling site, where, although the buyer is tagging down a little bit, I still retained a lovely £26 worth of profit, which was actually more for one sale than selling the other 3 online. So yeah, it seems to be more profitable selling this specific build locally as opposed to on certain sites where fees may apply. But, you know, like I say, if you have the right components, you manage to save a bit of money here and there in the actual build, you should be able to make more of a profit than I did. So we've got 17, 21, 23 plus 26, we've got about £49, £50, let's call it £50 worth of profit over the last 3 weeks. You know, it's better than a slap in the face, I'll admit. Was it worth the trouble? I think so. I had fun. And on that bombshell, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it down below. If you didn't, leave a dislike on it down below. I hope you guys found this was something different, of course, but, you know, fun, very fun to make, and I hope you guys liked watching it too. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and click that lovely red button down below. Maybe click the bell to enable notifications. Hopefully I'll see all of you in the next one. Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now in yesterday's one we took a light-hearted approach at the world of buying and selling PCs. Despite my disappointment at the end of the video, I was actually quite surprised that we had sold 4 units because I was a little too honest in my description. I even said that my PCs were probably priced £100 too high. The whole point of that video was just to be as honest as possible rather than see if we could actually sell anything, so I was quite shocked that we did. Now you probably shouldn't follow that approach. I use comedy as part of my tactics to try and sell because I have used it before and I have found that sometimes it works. Maybe that's what made people click buy it now on those items. We'll never exactly know unless I ask them. Today though I want to take a more serious look at this subject because buying and selling PCs is something I get asked quite a lot about, especially from my young audience, you know, those from about 15 to 25. So I wanted to address that today because, believe it or not, I have had experience in the past as a PC salesman, I guess. I did start a business when I first left school selling laptops and PCs online, and I did okay. You know, I don't exactly drive a Ferrari or anything, but it was enough to save up for a deposit for a house, things like that. And hopefully by discussing what I did, I might be able to help you out because I don't have all the answers. I can't just tell you what to do. I can tell you exactly what I did, and maybe it will help any of you out there looking to start a PC business of your own. So I guess we should get into it and start at the very beginning. Sit back, relax, and hopefully I don't put you to sleep with all of this talking. So I guess we should start back in 2012 when I left secondary school or high school. Being from a low-income family, I actually got paid to go to school from the government. It was called EMA. It was some sort of an incentive to stay in education. Anyone of similar age to me will probably understand if you live in the UK and got the same thing. You've got £30 a week to turn up to school. And then in the second year, it got reduced to £20. Now over my time in sixth form, which is basically the highest 2 years of education that you get at secondary or high school, I got paid this money. Now, most of it was spent on McDonald's. I did save a good portion of it, and when I eventually left school, I think I had about £1,000 saved up. So obviously, after leaving school, I applied for a couple of jobs, as everyone does. I think I applied at a local garden centre, I applied at a local supermarket, and for some reason I remember applying for a job as a security guard somewhere, and I have no idea why I even bothered, but I didn't hear back from any of them. So it was at this point I decided I wanted to go into business for myself. So YouTube was one of my main ways to relax in the evenings. I would just sit down and watch some videos, probably watch some PewDiePie videos, you know, his old school horror commentary, stuff like that. And eventually I started watching PC building videos from a guy named Carrie Holzman. I still watch his videos today, actually. He used to put together systems, really in-depth tutorials that were very helpful. And one day I thought, you know, I'm going to try and build a PC of my own. So I spent about £200, £300 on this system. I think it featured a Pentium of some sort, 8 gigs of RAM, and a cheap graphics card. My intention was to build this and then try and sell it for a bit of a profit, but it didn't work out because the PC never booted. The RAM, I think, was the issue, but obviously back in the day I had no idea about troubleshooting systems, so I eventually took it apart again and sold everything individually on eBay. Despite this, I think I still made about £30 on the whole thing because at this time, for one reason or another, prices of parts started to go up a little bit, so it wasn't all bad. Now after this, it was another few months before I got back into PC building because the whole experience put me off. But if something doesn't work out the first time, you should never let it stop you from carrying on if you're passionate about it. And about 6 months down the line, I built another PC, which was based on an E-machine system. This was an old E-machine micro ATX box or tower, and all I did was buy this old Pentium 4 machine, swap the parts out for beefier components. I think I put this FX 6300 in there and 7870, something like that. It was pretty decent combination back in the day, and I then got into building more and more of these so-called sleeper systems, where a PC looks like absolute trash on the outside, but inside it's got some pretty beefy components. Now the first one I built was the E-machine system with the FX6300 and the 70X70. I think I made about £100 profit on. I bought all of the parts used, including the tower itself, and this sort of became my niche for a while. No one else was really doing this, building and selling sleeper PCs, so it turned out that they were quite popular. All in all, I must have sold about 10 or 15 of these, making about £100 on each one. I don't know why it was a successful venture, aside from the fact that perhaps no one else was doing it. All I know is that they were selling, and they were selling pretty well. So after a while, I had a couple of returns on these sleepers. Customers wanted a refund for whatever reason. Usually I found that these machines were broken by the customers themselves, and they just didn't want to admit it, which is fine, because as a seller there's not much you can do in that regard. They could just come up with any excuse. So I accepted the returns and probably lost my profits on 2 of these machines, about £200 down the drain, which is a little bit of a kick. You know, it's a bit upsetting, but you can't let it put you off in time. So I decided to keep doing this as a bit of a hobby before eventually stopping a few months later and try and find something else, again PC related, that I could sell for profit. And my next idea turned out to be laptops. Now, at this time there were a lot of laptops from a few select UK sellers that were selling with Ubuntu installed, and because of this they were priced quite cheaply, about £150 sometimes. These were brand new machines. So I decided to buy a few of these, 5 first of all. I remember because I had all these laptop boxes built up in the corner of my bedroom, and what I would do was buy these machines, buy a copy of Windows 7, install that on these machines, which would take the cost up a little bit more, and then add another £100 on top of this and sell the laptops as Windows 7 laptops. This was also at a time when Windows 10 machines started becoming popular, and a lot of people were having trouble letting go of the older operating system, which is why I felt these Windows 7 machines were still quite popular in terms of sales. So first of all, as I say, I bought 5 of these machines, installed Windows 7 on each one, and advertised them as new but open. So I can't remember exactly how I described them. They were basically opened by me to put the disk in, install Windows 7, and then sell them on. Now, one key factor when it comes to starting your own business has to be luck. You know, and I think I got very lucky with this little venture. Now, obviously, when you start selling something, a lot of competition comes along. They see what you're doing and they try to undercut you in price. So after a few months or so, I was getting undercut so badly in terms of price that I had to drop the prices down very low, and ended up again making about £10 or £20 on each machine that I was selling, which wasn't bad. I sold quite a few, but considering I was making about £70 or £80 on each machine before that, it seemed like a bit of a blow. But it doesn't really matter, you know. We were still in profit, the business was still going well, and I was still living at home, so I had no outgoing costs. I didn't really have to spend all that much money on anything apart from food and petrol for the car, which at the time was a Ford Fiesta, so I mean it took about £10 worth of petrol every month. So at this point I realised that having fun was more important, or having fun in your job was more important than making more money. At least that's just how I felt, you know. Sacrificing a little bit of a social life